Good morning, everyone. I'm going to chant mantra to invoke auspiciousness before reading. Lakshmi Priya, would you put yourself on mute, please? I'm not capable of doing that somehow. It doesn't let me. Okay. Okay, good. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of God, that Narayana, to Narayana, she is the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto the author Srila Vyasadeva. And today we are reading from the second canto called The Cosmic Manifestation, and we are on chapter 8, questioned by King Parikshit, and we are on text 12, which I'm going to share with you.
12.
Okay, here we go. So we can start by reading one Sanskrit word at a time, like that. Yavan.
Yavan.
Kalpa.
Kalpa.
Vikalpa.
Vikalpa.
Pa.
Pa.
Yata.
Yata.
Kala.
Kala.
Anumiyate.
Anumiyate.
Uta.
Uta.
Bhavya.
Bhavya.
Bhavat.
Bhavat.
Shabda.
Shabda.
Ayu.
Ayu.
Manam.
Manam.
Cha. Yat.
Yat.
Sata.
Tata.
Now, one line at a time, you can repeat after me. Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yata kalo nimiyate.
Yata kalo numiyate.
Uta bhavya bhavat shabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayumanam yayat shataha.
Ayurmanam chayat sata.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Atakalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayumanam chayat sataha.
Ayurmanam chayat sata.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayumanam chayat sataha.
Ayurmanam chayat sataha. Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Utabhavya bhavat chabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayurmanam chayat sata.
Yumanam chayat sataha.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Utabhavya bhavaschabda.
Utabhavya bhavat chabda.
Ayurmanam chayat sataha.
Ayurmanam chayat sata.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Bhuttabhavya bhagavad shabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayurmanam chayat sataha.
Ayumanam chayat sataha.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yata kalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Bhuta bhavya bhavak chabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayurmanam chayat sataha.
Ayumanam chayat sataha.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yavan kalpo vikalpo va.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Yatakalo numiyate.
Utabhavya bhavak chabda.
Utabhavya bhavat shabda.
Ayurmanam chayat sataha.
Ayumanam chayat sataha. We can go read the Sanskrit and translation one at a time. Yavan, you can repeat after me. Yavan.
Yavan.
As it is.
As it is.
Kalpa.
Kalpa.
The duration of time between creation and annihilation.
The duration of time between creation and annihilation.
Vikalpa.
Vikalpa.
Subsidiary creation and annihilation.
Subsidiary creation and annihilation.
Va.
Va.
Either.
Either.
Yata.
Yata.
As also.
As also.
Kala.
Kala.
Time.
The time.
Anumiyate.
Anumiyate.
Is measured.
Is measured.
Bhuta.
Bhuta.
Past.
Past.
Bhavya.
Bhavya.
Future.
Future.
Bhavat.
Bhavat.
Present.
Present.
Shabda.
Shabda.
Sound.
Sound.
Ayu.
Ayu.
Duration of life.
Duration of life.
Manam.
Manam.
Measurement.
Measurement.
Cha.
Cha.
Also.
Also.
Yat.
Yat.
Which.
Which.
Sata.
Tata.
Of all living beings in all planets.
Of all living beings in all planets.
Translation. Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and then annihilation, and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Past, present, and future are different features of time to indicate the duration of life for the universe and all its paraphernalia, including the different living beings in different planets. It's only one sentence purport, so I'm going to go to the next verse. Kalashyanu gatir yatu lakshyaten vibhatyapi yavatya karma gatayo yadrishi udvija satama. Kalasya of eternal time, anugati beginning, yatu as they are, lakshyate experience, envy, small, briati great, happy even, yavatya as long as, karma gataya in terms of the work performed, yadrishi as it may, dvija satama, O purest of all brahmanas. Translation. O purest of the brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different duration of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. Because there is no purport, I'm going to go to the next verse. Yasmin karma samavayo yatayeno pagriyate gunanam gunimanam chaiva parinamam abipsatam. Yasmin, in which karma action, samavaya accumulation, yata as far as, yena by which, upagriyate takes over, gunanam of the different modes of material nature, guninam of the living beings, cha also, eva certainly, parinamam resultants, abipsatam of the desires. Translation. Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creature. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The actions and reaction of all works in the material modes of nature, either in a minute form or in a gigantic form, are accumulated, and thus result of such accumulated action and reaction of karma or work become manifested in the same proportion. How such action and reaction take place, what the different procedures are, and in what proportion they act are all subject matters of Maharaj Parikshit's inquiries from the great Brahman Sukadev Goswami. Life in the higher planets, known as the abodes of the denizens of heaven, is obtained not by the strength of spacecraft, as is now being contemplated by the inexperienced scientists, but by works done in a mode of goodness. Even on the very planet where we are now living, there are restrictions upon the entrance of foreigners into a country where the citizens are more prosperous. For example, the American government has many restrictions for the entrance of foreigners from the less prosperous countries. The reason is that the Americans do not wish to share their prosperity with any foreigner who has not qualified himself as a citizen of America. Similarly, the same mentality is prevailing in every other planet where there are more intelligent living beings residing. The higher planetary living conditions are all in a mode of goodness. And anyone desiring to enter the higher planets like the moon, sun, and Venus must qualify thoroughly by activity in complete goodness. Maharaj Parikshit's inquiry are on the basis of proportionate action of goodness, which qualified one in this planet to be promoted to the highest regions of the universe. Even on this planet of our present residence, one cannot achieve a good position within the social order without being qualified with proportionate good work. One cannot forcibly sit on a chair of a high court judge without being qualified for the post. Similarly, one cannot enter the higher planetary system without being qualified by good works in this life. Persons addicted to the habits of passion and ignorance have no chance of entering the higher planetary system simply by an electronic mechanism. According to the statement of the Bhagavad Gita 9:25, persons trying to qualify themselves for promotion to the higher heavenly planet can go there. Similarly, persons trying to be for the pretty lokas can go there. Similarly, persons trying to improve the condition of this earth can also do that. And persons who are engaged in going back home, back to Godhead, can achieve that result. The various action and reaction of work in a mode of goodness are generally known as pious work with devotional service, culture of knowledge with devotional service, mystic powers with devotional service, and at last, devotional service unmixed with any other varieties of goodness. This unmixed devotional service is transcendental and is called para-bhakti. It alone can promote a person to the transcendental kingdom of God. Such a transcendental kingdom is not a myth, but is as factual as the moon. One must have transcendental qualities to understand the kingdom of God and God himself. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Ganajala Shalakaya Shakshun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Bhaskacha Jizatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm going to read the English of all three words. Also, please expand the duration of time between creation and annihilation, and that of other subsidiary creation, as well as the nature of time, indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please expand the duration of measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe. O purest of the Brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different durations of life, of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. Then again, kindly describe how the proportional accumulation of the reaction resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creature. Hare Krishna. And so we have Maharaj Parikshit here inquiring. Maharaj Parikshit, to go back to the story for those of you who may not be familiar or just coming here in the middle of our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit was a very pious king. And in fact, when he was in the womb of his mom, he saw Krishna, he saw Vishnu eye to eye. And all his life, Parikshit means the inquirer. All his life, he was looking to see Krishna again, to see Vishnu again. He was looking for that experience he had in the womb. And also he was a grandson of the Pandava, of Arjuna, who is like the listener to the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, very elevated soul. And Maharaj Parikshit, some unfortunate circumstances, came to the point where he was cursed by a Brahman boy. And when he was cursed by the Brahman boy, he was cursed to die in 7 days. And because he's a devotee of the Lord, he didn't feel like counteracting the curse, even so he was capable of doing so. Even so he could have very easily counteracted that curse. He just accepted the work of destiny. He really accepted, like, okay, I'm going to die. And then what he did, and in a sense, it's the duty of everyone who is about to die, which is about everyone on this planet or in the material world, that we are about to die. He decided to inquire about what is the duty of someone who is about to die. And he left his kingdom, he left his beautiful wife, he left his power, his wealth, he left everything he had to go on the bank of the Yamuna, Ganges River, I say, but it's really the Yamuna in Hastinapur in Delhi, and to inquire about the purpose of human life and what's the duty of one who is about to die. So here in that chapter, it's entitled Question by Maharaj Parikshit. And from his question, we get a sense that he knows a lot. From his questions, we get a sense that he knows about, he has thought about time, he has thought about karma, he has thought about all those things that is very, very familiar. And his questions are really there to churn the nectar of the Bhagavatam. And we are not going to respond to Maharaj Parikshit's question today, because the whole work of the Srimad Bhagavatam is answers to Maharaj Parikshit. That the whole Bhagavatam is driven by Maharaj Parikshit's questions and Sukadev Goswami responding and then bringing in different stories and different orators and like that. So what I was thinking, yesterday I was listening to a Christian priest's lecture, a lecture from a Christian priest. And I thought that Christian priest had a lot of realization. And at the same time, I felt that sense of great fortune, that we have access to such a wealth of knowledge. We have access to a wealth of knowledge that's there. And that wealth of knowledge is capable to respond to all questions. And I can see like that Christian priest, he had a lot of realization. At the same time, he was forced kind of to bring some speculation in what he was teaching, because it was piece missing. It was piece missing in his knowledge. And so I felt really, really grateful and fortunate to have access to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, the teaching of the Veda, like churned and filtered for us by Srila Prabhupada to give us what's most essential. What's most essential. And what's most essential, yes, what is the duty of a man or woman who is about to die? What I was having a conversation a few days ago with my mother, and I was quite pleased. Usually a conversation with my mother is me listening to her speaking about the neighbor and the family and all that. And at the same time, she had a conversation with my brother, and my mom came to say, well, I don't know anything, but I know everybody is going to die. I thought, wow, that's deep. That's deep. So I was joyful. Here's some meaningful conversation to have with mom. And I say, yes, mom, because when we are born, we are sure to die. In the Bhagavad Gita, I say, for one who is born, death is sure. And for one who die, birth is also sure. And so I say, yes. In fact, when we are born, we are not sure of anything else. We are not sure if we are going to have good parents, if we are going to have food, if we are going to have a mate or partner. We are not sure if we are going to have wealth, knowledge, education. All that is optional, maybe. We don't know. We don't know what will happen. But what is sure and certain is that we are going to die. And so I told my mom, so it seems that life, if there is only one thing we know when we are born, is that we are going to die. It seems that life is about dying. Life is about dying, is about preparing for death, because what else? If we are like actively involved with all those uncertainty about everything else that we don't know about, and that's very temporary, then it seems that it could be a waste of our time. And time is a big topic here in this part of the inquiry of Maharaj Parikshit. He speak a lot about it speak a lot about time and what is time, and eternal time. Time is one of the 5 topics of the Bhagavad Gita. There is 5 topics of the Bhagavad Gita, and one of them is time. Another one is Prakriti, the material energy, and then another one is Purusha, the Lord. So time is eternal. So it's interesting, because we always think of time as temporary, because time flow, constantly move, and time is eternal, and time is a form of Krishna, Kala Shakti. So it's a form of Krishna, and it's an energy of Krishna, all at the same time. In many of the prayers of the great devotee in the Bhagavatam, when they glorify Krishna, they glorify this energy, and they glorify him as time. And in a discussion between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura, Maitreya Rishi said, the supreme living being in his feature as the eternal transcendental Purusha incarnation, with the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnate the material nature of the 3 modes, and thus, by the influence of eternal time, the living entity appear. So at the very beginning of creation, the Mahavishnu is lying in a Karana ocean, causal ocean, and from there, there is a smoke, primary soups coming out, and then the Lord does impregnate the living entity, and the mode of material nature first, impregnate the material nature of the 3 modes. So the 3 modes are there in material nature, and as soon as the living entity are impregnated in that Mahatattva, then eternal time take place, and eternal time take place, and because of the desire and activity of the living entities, the whole material creation doesn't have any other purpose, no other purpose than to fulfill the desire of the living entities to enjoy separated from Krishna, and to reform the living entities, to come back to their original constitutional position, to be a lover of Krishna, to be part and parcel of Krishna, to be the expansion of the enjoying propensity of Krishna. We are made to be enjoyed by Krishna. However, when we want to enjoy separately from Krishna, then we don't get to be enjoyed by Krishna. And then Maitreya Rishi continued, and he said, thereafter, influenced by the interaction of eternal time, again, the supreme sum total of matter, called the Mahatattva, became manifested. And in this Mahatattva, the unalloyed goodness, the Supreme Lord, sowed the seed of universal manifestation out of his own body. So that's when out of his spore, then all those universe came out like little eggs. It just came out of his spore during his exhaling, breathing, his exhaling. So that's time. And he said, oh, Vidura, while searching in that way. So he's speaking about Lord Brahma now. And in a different class, we spoke about Lord Brahma because he's engineer of the universe. He's the first created being. And he said, oh, Vidura, while searching in that way about this existence, Brahma reached the ultimate time, which is in the eternal will, in the hand of Vishnu, which generate fear in the mind of the living entity, like the fear of death. So that fear of death, that's what's run everything. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, time I am, destroyer of everything. So time is crushing us and creating so much fear for the living entity. And time can only control those who are on a body consciousness. As long as we are conscious, like we are conscious, we identified with the body, then that's when time acts upon us. Even up to the highest planetary system, even in higher planetary system, we will find birth, death, and like birth and death are there. And that's birth and death are subsidiary kind of a creation and annihilation, and there is everything is micro and micro and micro. So there is birth and death of the cosmic manifestation, and there is birth and death of the love bugs, for example. We have a period where in Florida there is love bugs, and the love bugs, I think they only live for 1 day. And during this 1 day, they live a full life. A full life is made of 6 changes. There is a birth, there is growth, there is byproduct. So they do get byproducts, they do have all the sex and eating, sleeping, everything is done in 24 hours for them, and then dwindling and then dying. So we can see the relativity of time, that the duration of the creation of the cosmic manifestation is trillions and trillions and billions of years, and that's 1 lifetime of the cosmic manifestation. And then we can look at a love bug. A love bug duration of life is 24 hours, and that's 24 hours is equivalent to our 100 years. So Maharaj Parikshit asked about the relativity of time. And there is a story, there is a few stories that I like to share. One is called Brahma Vimohan Lila. And in that story, Lord Brahma, he was witnessing the pastime of the cowherd boy with Krishna. He was witnessing, and he was in wonder of those pastimes, but at the same time, he was kind of little like, okay, let me see if that boy is that powerful. He's just a little boy. Let me see if he is that powerful. And Lord Brahma made a plan to kidnap all the cowherd boy, all the cows, and all the calf. And he took them all and he put them in a cave. And then he turned around. And when he came around, he was in wonder because he saw Krishna. And Krishna was with all his cowherd boys, all the cows, and all the calf. So he wondered, what's that about? And then Lord Shri Krishna realized that, like Brahma was watching, and so he manifested himself in all those cowherd boys, and they're in a four-arm form. And there is an interesting anecdote in a Krishna book that the pastime before that was the pastime of Aghasura. And it is said that Lord Balaram didn't find out about Aghasura, but within 1 year time. And Maharaj Parikshit again, he inquired, why is it that Lord Balaram didn't find out about this pastime, but 1 year later. And the explanation of that is that the cowherd boys and the calves that Lord Brahma had eaten during his moment of existence, that moment of existence was 1 year on earth. So even so, it was a moment for Lord Brahma just turning around and looking at Krishna. It was a full year on earth, and thus during that year on earth, Lord Brahma didn't hear about the wonder of Lord Krishna killing Aghasura. So that's the relativity of time, that a moment in the life of Brahma is 1 year of life, 1 year on earth. There is another story also that I wanted to share. That's a story I was thinking about, but I lost the details about it. And I asked Dear Govinda, and he told me where I could find it again in the Bhagavatam. So it's in the 9th canto. In the 9th canto, there was a king, and he had a beautiful daughter, Revati. Revati was the daughter of the king. And the name of the king is Kukadmi. So Kukadmi had a beautiful daughter, Revati, and he wanted to make sure she get a very, very good husband. And so he decided, he was a very powerful king, he decided to go to Lord Brahma, because who better can find a husband for him but the creator of the universe, the one from whom we all emanate in our form. So he knew everybody. So he went to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, at that time, he was hearing a concert, music. You see, in the heavenly planet, there is also music. So he was listening to a Gandharva, like singing, and he was enjoying himself. So Kukadmi, he didn't want to disturb Lord Brahma. He didn't want to disturb Lord Brahma, so he patiently waited. And then when Lord Brahma was done with his concert, Kukadmi went to him and he said, he presented himself. He, of course, can imagine he was very respectful to Lord Brahma. And he said, I want you to help me find a husband for my daughter. And then Brahma laughed very loudly. He laughed, and he laughed so loudly. He said, like, any of the people you were thinking about for your daughter, they are gone. They are gone. They don't exist anymore. They don't exist. In fact, since you were on Earth, 27 yuga cycle took place. So you get all the yuga, the 4 yugas, 27 of yuga cycle took place. So not only they don't exist, those kings that you were considering for your daughter, but even their children, their grandchildren, their great-great-grandchildren, they are gone. They are long gone. And then that led to Revati being married to Balaram, because he waited, because that time lapse that's happened between the time he left Earth and the time he came back to Earth was perfectly orchestrated for the qualified Revati to have a qualified husband in the form of the personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram. So okay, so that's about time and the relativity of time. And then in the verse it explained that okay, we may have the accumulation of our activities, and I love the way it's presented, that is proportionate. And if we want to live in a mode of goodness, then we are qualified ourselves to go to the heavenly planet. And Srila Prabhupada gives different examples. One example he said is that even on this earth, in order to travel to another country, and even more so if it's a country that have more prosperity or more abundance, then one will need to qualify himself. It's not that easy. It's not simply like I go there, I take an airplane and I go there. There is a lot of qualification that take place. And similarly, there is many planetary system, and there in the upper planetary systems there is more enjoyment because people are more in a more goodness. And in order to qualify to go there, one will need to have work in the moral goodness. And we can see that our qualification does make a difference. Our desire and activity do make a difference on this planet during this time that we are here. Like if I perform good work and I go to schools and I get a degree, I get a good work, a good job, maybe a nice paying job or something that's interesting. And then if I choose to go to bars and if I choose to enjoy myself in different ways, and probably I will get a different situation. So what's true for us here, Prabhupada is trying to make a point here that, and we can expand on that point, what's true for us here while we are on this planet, and things that we can directly experience. Like I know if I eat food that are not very conducive for my brain, then my brain is foggy. If I eat too much sugar, I have a foggy brain. So it's natural from, like my desire to eat sugar will lead me to action of eating sugar. And those actions of eating sugar are going to lead me to a certain experience of life, the experience of being foggy, or the experience of having my senses agitated, or the experience of being more in a mode of passion and ignorance. So Prabhupada expand that naturally what is true in this planet is also true for us if we want to elevate ourselves in different planets. And in prayer of Queen Kunti, there is a really nice purport that I like to read in this connection to understand the laws of action and reaction and how it connects with eternal time. Kunti Devi knew that Kunti is, she's Maharaj Parikshit's great-grandmother. So she's the mother of the Pandava, and we the mother of Arjuna. So Kunti Devi knew that Krishna was neither her nephew or an ordinary family member of her paternal house. She knew perfectly well that Krishna is a primeval Lord who lives in everyone's heart as a super soul, Paramatma. Another name of the Paramatma feature of the Lord is Kala, or eternal time. So Kala, eternal time, is another name for Krishna who accompanies us while we are in a prison house of this material existence. Eternal time is a witness of all our actions, good and bad. So that's very similar to what we read in a verse. Like there is action, sometimes are tiny action, sometimes they are humongous action, and everything is proportionate to how many good or bad action we perform. And thus resultant reaction are destined by him. It is no use saying that we do not know why or for what we are suffering. Yeah, if I eat sugar one day and the next day I have brain fog, and I say, oh, I don't know why I have brain fog. I don't know where that comes from. It must be some curse or something. No, it's no use. She said, Prabhupada said in his purpose, there is no use to like, where is that coming from? We may forget the misdeeds for which we may suffer at the present moment, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion, and therefore he knows everything, past, present, and future. And because the Paramatma feature of Lord Krishna destines all action and reaction, he is the supreme controller also. Without his sanction, not a blade of grass can move. The living beings are given as much freedom as they deserve, and misuse of that freedom is the cause of suffering. The devotees of the Lord do not misuse their freedom. and therefore they are the good sons of the Lord. Others who misuse freedom are put into misery destined by the eternal Kala. The Kala offers the conditioned soul both happiness and misery. It is all predestined by eternal time, as we have misery uncalled for. So we may have happiness also without being asked. As for all, as they are all predestined by Kala. No one is therefore either an enemy or friend of the Lord. Everyone is suffering and enjoying the result of his own destiny. So that's a really important part, that often when we feel happy, we tend to pat ourselves on the back. Wow, I'm happy. I make myself happy. I had good planning, good party. And then when we are miserable, we tend to go into victim stories, that someone else made me unhappy, something else didn't happen, the government did that, or, whatever story we are telling myself, my parents. So here it's like, no, there's no point doing that. Krishna is neutral. He doesn't have enemies. He doesn't not love us. He loves us all the time. But then if we have, if we have misery coming our way or happiness coming our way, we need to understand that they are, the result of our own destiny. We created that somehow in this lifetime, in previous lifetime. We may not even remember. I may not even remember that I ate sugar the day before. I may not even remember, like it was a passing thing that I was unconscious with. The next day I have a brain fog and I must be sick, not remembering what I did the day before. So as the misery are uncalled for, also our happiness is uncalled for. No one is therefore either an enemy or a friend of the Lord. Everyone is suffering and enjoying the result of his own destiny. This destiny is made by the living beings in course of social intercourse. Everyone here wants to lord it over the material nature, and thus everyone creates his own destiny under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. He is all pervading, and therefore he can seize everyone's activities. And because the Lord has no beginning or end, he is known as eternal time, Kala. So eternal time is eternal, is Krishna, is Paramatma, and is the will, and the wheel of time is crushing everything under our grasp. And only by desiring and putting ourselves above the material time, above the three modes of material nature, only then we are going to have regain our full freedom. Until then, our freedom is covered by different mode of material nature. So in his purpose, Srila Prabhupada really presents the idea of clear intention. That's so much part of the Sattva experience, clear intention. Like he said, like, if your intention is to go to the heavenly planet, yes, desire that. And then it's not simply desire, it's desire leading to action, and act in a mode of goodness. If you want to go to the planet of the ancestor, and that's a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, like some want to go to the heavenly planet, some want to go to the planet of the ancestor, Prithvi Loka, then you can go there too. And Prabhupada said in his purport, and if you want to make a change on earth, you can do that too. You can change on earth. And then if you want to go back to Godhead, then that's available also. That's also available. And work in a mode of goodness is not going to be sufficient to bring us to the transcendental platform. Usually pious activities, work in a mode of goodness, Prabhupada said they have some mixing in them. And pure devotional service is described in a nectar of devotion. In the nectar of devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami said, Anya Vilasita Sunyam Jnana Karma Anuvritam Anukulina Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. So that's a definition of pure devotional service, and you really connect with what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport here, that pure devotional service is not mixed. It's not mixed with karma or jnana or mystic anything. So pure devotional service doesn't have any motivation. It's favorable to the Lord, and it's unmotivated. Hi to Kia Pratiata. It's unmotivating and uninterrupted. So as we evolve in our spiritual life, as we give ourselves to the process of material life, we want to see, okay, am I doing some work here for Krishna because I have some hope for a certain result? So that will be work karma yoga, and because I have some hope maybe to be happy or to get some name and fame or to get a good wife or whatever. And it's still devotional service mixed with something else. Am I learning jnana yoga? Am I learning, I'm accumulating knowledge about, like knowledge about, even about Krishna? Am I doing that also for some gain, somehow gain of knowledge, because I feel good when I accumulate knowledge. I feel good about myself. Is it that jnana yoga like mixed with devotional service? It may be about Krishna. I'm learning about Krishna. So there is devotional service. At the same time, it's jnana. It's still about me, I and mine. And as long as there is I and mine, then it makes devotional service. And the beautiful aspect of devotional service is that the journey and the goal are one. So by continuing practicing devotional service, by continuing to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Dadami Buddhi Yogatam. Krishna give us intelligence. He gave us intelligence to weed out, to pull the weed of jnana, karma, or yogic propensity. Like of course, devotional service give us all mysticism, so much mysticism, so much mystic power, and to also weed out the desire or the enjoyment of those mystic power, to come to like Ekehaku Nandana, where we have only one desire and one desire only, to please Srila Prabhupada, to please our spiritual master, to please Krishna, to make them smile. Like every day we want to live our life and to bring a smile to Srila Prabhupada's face, to really come to a place like we pray, like, yeah, please Krishna, help me be a servant of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is a via media. If we please Srila Prabhupada, he has the power to pick us up and bring us to Krishna. And at the end of his purport, Srila Prabhupada said it's not a myth. It's not a myth. It's like this spiritual sky, this spiritual realm, where every step is a dance, where every word is a song, this spiritual realm where we can go and be with Krishna and live eternally. And eternal times means like there is time there, but the time doesn't have any limit. When I'm serving Krishna in a very specific way, let's say I'm cooking for Krishna here, and maybe as I'm cooking, I'm really feeling close with Krishna and I'm stirring the sweet rice. There is a special moment there, and it's fleeting, it goes away. In the spiritual world, it never goes away. I can stir the milk and experience that connection with Krishna forever. So Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, it's not a myth. It's true as the moon. We see the moon in the sky. Then that spiritual sky, that service to Krishna, that association with Krishna, that pure devotional service is not a myth. And now we know that because we have Srila Prabhupada. We know that pure devotional service exists because we know a pure devotee. We know a pure devotee who is full of bhakti. And only bhakti comes from bhakti, and only someone who has bhakti can give it to us. And we know that it exists because we can witness it. We can witness Srila Prabhupada is not affected by the three-mode material nature, is not affected by disease, is not affected by curl around him, is not affected by people trying to create obstacle in his devotional service, because there is no obstacle in the path of devotional service. There is no material impediment to devotional service. So in a class recently, I heard Srila Prabhupada say our responsibility is to make sure that people know it exists. It's not after we have done that people know there is that destination. Yeah, Heavenly Planet's nice, and like wanting to have money maybe is nice, wanting to have a good family is nice, but that's all temporary. It's have a beginning and an end. It's going to be crushed by time. And to allow people to know that there is another destination, that destination that's not going to be crushed by time, that destination that's full of bliss, full of knowledge, and full of eternity. And our responsibility is to make sure that, yes, it's not a myth, that people know about that possibility. That's an alternative to life. And feeling eager to have people know that, yes, there is alternative lives. There is the edge of the golden edge of being absorbed in Krishna consciousness, where we can transcend all the mode of material nature and be eternally happy serving Krishna. Hare Krishna. I'm going to read again just text 12. Yavam kalpo vikalpo va yata kalo numiyate Buddha bhavya bhavak chapta ayurna manamya chayat sataha. Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation, and that of the other subsidiary creation, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration of measurement of life of the different living beings, known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets and in the universe. O purest of the Brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different duration of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. Then again, kindly describe out the proportionate accumulation of the reaction resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living beings, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the association. And any comment, question, challenges? Hare Krishna. Yes, Ramachandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class on these verses, Mother Malini Prabhu. I guess like from the very beginning when we were reading when you were reading the purport, and at the end towards your sharing, what touched me was the different desires and the planets that facilitate these desires. And looking into my experience, I can see that I have like desire to be in all these different planets and try all these different paths of karma, jnana, bhakti, but at the same time I feel that it's like it's hard for me to accept all these different desires. Like I experience them as contradictory, and I see like a tendency that I just want to like drop all of them and focus on one, and at the same time I'm not ready to focus only on bhakti. And reading that last line in the purport, I think there was a line, I'm just gonna cite it. Persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness, and persons who are engaged in going back home, back to Godhead, and in terms of like being engaged in Krishna consciousness to go ultimately back home, back to Godhead, I was wondering like how to continue do that, like with all these different desires.
Yeah, so you're looking at desire, maybe karma, desire, making money, or having a good situation, jnana, desire, maybe mysticism, and it's hard to accept those desires, and you want to only have one desire, okay, Krishna consciousness, but how to meet yourself where you're at, and purify those desires, and that's very much the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is all about purifying our desire. There is a banyan tree, there is a banyan tree in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. There is a real banyan tree, and then there is a perverted reflection of the banyan tree, and that's where we are entangled with all the leaves and the twigs and the branches, and we get lost there. And then in between those two, the reflection is inside desire. So in a sense, the symptom of the soul is consciousness, and the activity of the soul is desire. For us to desire, to purify our desire, that's what it is. So let's say I have, and it's the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, I have desire to make money. So I'm going to purify that desire maybe at the beginning by giving the result of my work to Krishna. And I'm conscious, I have desire to make money, and I have desire, it's mixed. I have desire to serve Krishna too, but I want to keep my money for me, or I want to be comfortable in some ways, or all that. And consciously, I'm using my intelligence to make progress in spiritual life, because that desire is true. I want to serve Krishna. So I'm meeting myself where I am at, and then maybe I offer some of the result of my work to Krishna. And then in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it says, then at one point I will offer my work to Krishna. It's not so much the result of my work anymore, but I'm going to be more conscious, like as I'm doing my work, that whatever I'm doing, if I'm a dentist, or if I'm making videos, or a tattoo artist, or if I organize people's houses, or whatever I do, that I'm seeing myself, okay, I'm in that creation, I'm supposed to work. The nature of the soul is to be active, so I'm going to be active, and I'm going to be active according to my psychophysical nature within the Varnashram Dharma, really. And let me please the personality of Godhead. Atapumbir Vijashrestra Varnashram Vibhagasa.
Swanutistasya
Samshidira Aritoshana. So Samshidira Aritosana is that all those activities that we perform, because we are embodied as human beings, we are, we have that human experience. We need to work to even feed ourselves. So little by little, we want to take all those duties in the Varnashram system, and more bring them to be pleasing to the personality of Godhead, because in themselves they are kind of zeros, and many zeros. All those desires are zeros, but you have a one just when you start the process of devoting those desires. When you start the process, meeting yourself where you're at, maybe right now it's not true to work with the consciousness of Krishna, but maybe that's true that, yeah, I can give some part of my earning to someone who is serving Krishna, or buying books to distribute, or I can give some part of my earning to a teacher who is going to teach me about Krishna, or someone who are going to use that money in the service of Krishna. I don't know how to do that, but they know. So that's in spiritual life, there is two important aspects to spiritual life, is to find out where I am at and find out where I'm going. If I'm finding out where I am at, but I don't know where I'm going, then I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. And if I know where I'm going, but I don't know where I am at, I'm also lost. So it's both. So it's meeting myself with my desire, and also know the goal of human life is to let go of any desire, but the desire to please Krishna.
Thank you. It's specifying to hear that so long I endeavor to dovetail his desires through a bona fide process that will be used, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also meeting yourself where you're at. Like, yeah, I do have desire. So what's the next step? Like where I am at is, okay, I'm here in Alachua. I want to go to Gainesville. What's the next step? Well, I'm going south a little bit. And Gainesville is far away. It will take a long time maybe to arrive there. But I want to know that I'm in Alachua, not pretend that I'm somewhere else where I am not. Because it's not going to lead me anywhere if I pretend like I'm in Ocala. Because if I'm in Ocala and I go south, I'm just going to land somewhere in Orlando, but I will never arrive in Gainesville. Yeah. And so that's those two, like in a map, if I'm lost, of course, now with GPS, people don't use maps, but in the old time, I learned how to read a map. And yeah, it's really important to know where I am on a map. Even if I see on the map where I'm going, if I don't know where I am at, I don't know if I need to turn right, left, or where to go. I know when I was sailing, I did a lot of sailing in my life. And I didn't always have a GPS on the boat either. So we'll use a sextant, to measure with the position of some stars. We will measure our position, because on the ocean there is no street corner. There is nothing to give us any indication of where we are at. And so we can really miss our destination of course, if destination is big like America, there's a sense that, okay, if I keep going west, I may arrive somewhere. But if our destination is a little island on the path, well, we really need to know where we are at and where is the island in order to arrive there. If I know where's the island, but I don't know where I am at, then I don't know if I go a little bit more north or south. And if I know where I am at, but I don't know where is the island, it's the same situation. So spiritual life really means both. And to really not trying to transcend one in order to achieve the other one. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Well, I really like the comparison, because like seeing my life and maybe life of others, that I relied on my life on GPS system and relying on others to tell me, on other systems to tell me where I'm at. I sort of feel sometimes like no wonder I feel incapable distinguishing where I'm at independently, which I get it's like so important from your comparing your experience in the sea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, truthfulness is the last leg of religion. Mm-hmm. So in the Bible it says the truth will set us free. So that's that truthfulness, honesty where I am at. If I have envy in my heart, if I criticize others, and that's where I am at. And there's nothing right or wrong there. It's just where I am at. If I'm Alachua, there's nothing wrong being Alachua. It's what it is. And being Alachua is not worse than being in Ocala. It's just I am in Alachua. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But because of, like we are not willing to be truthful because of the false ego, false identification. We want to identify with someone we are not. Thank you, Ramachandra Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just want to say,
yeah,
you need to know where you're going and where you're at, but it doesn't matter where you came from.
It doesn't matter where you came from, exactly. Even you can come from Palatka. Hare Krishna. Parampara Prabhu. Yeah, exactly. Like Haridas Thakur, he was coming from a Muslim family, eating meat and all that. And he is an Namacharya for disciplic succession is so important part of our line. Even so where I came from seems from a caste, whatever, perspective that's very, very low bound. It really doesn't matter. What's matter is where I am at and where I'm going. Where I am at, where I'm going. And where I am at is always perfect. And where I'm going and making step towards that direction. Hi, Krishna Kelly.
I love the map discussion. I grew up with maps and used them all the time and put them across my steering wheel very dangerously and go get lost somewhere and then pull it out and figure out where I am and where I'm going. And I loved that. I still do it. I don't use my GPS. I only pull up, I love the phone because it's not so big. I can pull it up and figure out where I am and make my own route. Mm-hmm. And with GPS, I feel like I have no clue where I am. All I know is I follow the blue line. I don't know where I am. I don't really know where I'm going. And I live in Atlanta and there's no grid. So it's, if you don't know where you are, you can't get anywhere. And I think, well, if the GPS died or my phone died, I'd be completely lost and I could never find my way. Mm-hmm. So I so appreciate always knowing where I am on the road.
Yeah.
And at the same time, to Ramachandra's point about, or his comment about, you know, always relying on someone else to tell him where he is and where he's going, and GPS and other people, that no wonder he's struggling, or Ramachandra, no wonder you're struggling with figuring out where you are. I can say, as much as I love maps and as loyal as I am to them, it's still a struggle to figure out where I am spiritually, mostly, and in other ways. It takes work and with the map and diligence and always referring to it. So I imagine that applies.
Yeah.
I'm wondering that applies in life in general.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. We have a common love. I really love maps too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love reading map, and it's something that's yeah, I'm very comfortable with maps. Yeah.
I also have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Ladini, want to say something? I thought she popped in.
Please continue, Kelly.
Okay.
I wanted to reflect what you're saying, but I can reflect at the end.
Thank you. I'm a little disturbed by the topic of time. Part of me is wondering, you know, well, if life is eternal, if time is eternal, then what is time? If it never ends, then why is there a beginning and an end? Like, what's the, if our spirits live forever, then what's the point of time? So it occurred, the question came to me, is time created, especially in these lives that we're experiencing now on earth, is it to create a sense of urgency? Or is it, as I hear you and David refer to life being just disturbing, like this isn't where we want to stay on purpose. Krishna created it that way, so we want to go back to Godhead. Is it just another way to make it more disturbing for people to have this sense of time and how there's never enough of it and the pressure of time? So part of me is, I'm just curious. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your question, and I can relate to your question. I want to also go back to what you were sharing earlier, like about Ramachandra and the map, and it's difficult. It may be easy on the map, and there is a map also for knowing where we are at, and all the teaching, you know, all the Prabhupada's teaching, chanting Hare Krishna, it's really allow us to really understand. There is two parts to the teaching of Srila Prabhupada teaching. There is so much about our situation here. So much about our situation here. If we really read very carefully, we will find ourselves. We find like, yes, yeah, I have greed. I have envy. I have anger in my heart. I can see that I don't want the success of others. I just want my success. And that's all there. So in a sense, there is a map, and there is like looking really carefully of all the landmarks, and those landmarks are going to lead us to understand where we are at without fighting. And then there is verses that are really give us its destination, and it's about not mixing the two. If I look at a map and I think, oh, my destination, that's where I am at, again, I'm going to be lost. So it's about identifying within the teaching, where is the teaching really helping me see where I am at, and there is so much of that, and then where I'm going. So there is a map. And about eternal time. So yeah, I appreciate it so much connected with the question of Maharaj Parikshit to understand the cosmic manifestation, like the when creation takes place, when it's annihilated, and within the material energy, yeah, everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Everything is crushed by time within, and time is eternal. Like the material energy always exists. It's not like he exists for a while and stop existing. However, it's not always manifested. So time manifests in a way that we know time with past, present, and future, at the same time that the material energy manifests. And the material energy manifests to fulfill the desire of the living entities, very small percentage, about 10% of all the living entities, who have decided to enjoy separated from Krishna. So the whole purpose of the cosmic manifestation of the external energy of the Lord being agitated by time and with the three modes of material nature, fulfilling the desire of the living entity, like in this verse he said, the desiring living entities. So there is a certain number of living entities, we are some of them, that 10%, it's like, if we really think about it, you know, it's not glorious, that desire to enjoy separated from Krishna, instead of being in that eternal time, instead of being really connected with our constitutional position, which is full of bliss, which is full of knowledge and full of eternity, we choose something else. And we continue to choose something else. I know I have experience of moment, fleeting moment, experience of eternity. I have fleeting, and we all do. I'm sure if we were going around, we all do have moments of fleeting bliss, that's unconditional bliss. We have those moments, and instead of staying there, we fall back. We fall back to our misery. We fall back to our, you know, our mind creating drama. We fall back to our, you know, making plans for enjoyment and thinking like, if I do it again, and if I make a plan this time, it's going to work. Even so, it hasn't worked for 5,000 times. We have made that same plan to do at the same place, to do the same thing, and we didn't derive the happiness we wanted. We still are in illusion that, oh, this time if I make the same plan, I'm going to get a different result, and we don't. We get the same result. So that's the purpose of creation from of the cosmic manifestation of the material, cosmic manifestation comprised of so many universes, and the purpose of the creation of this very universe we are in, the purpose of this very earth we live in, the purpose of this type of bodies. There is many type of bodies. There is tree bodies, there is grass bodies, and they are also under the control of time. You know, plants do, you know, take birth and die. Trees do take birth and die, and animals do take birth and die. So within the material energy, everything is moved by time and crushed by time, and that's a form of Krishna. And as you said very nicely, it's to reform us, to see like, no, we are not successful when we want to enjoy from separated from Krishna. Like there is an analogy that Prabhupada gave an analogy, like there is the ant one day, the ant and all the senses decide to be on strike. We are not going to feed the stomach. We are not going to feed the stomach. We are going to enjoy separated from the stomach. We don't need to feed the stomach. Who is that stomach anyway? I am the stomach. I am the one who can make plan and enjoy on my own. And then all the sensing go on strike and decide we are not going to feed the stomach. And little by little, they get weaker and weaker and weaker. And then their life becomes miserable. And they have so much suffering coming. And they can say, well, it's very, very unfair for the stomach to create that when we don't feed the stomach, we are getting weak and suffering. This is so unfair of a system. But the stomach just said, no, it's your purpose. That's what you were creating, to take the food and put it in the mouth, and the mouth kind of chew it, and it comes to the stomach. And then when we do that, everybody is happy. So yes, it's a place of reformation, and we are like the ants. We think, oh, I can enjoy, I can make my own plan, I can eat by myself. I can enjoy, I can be the stomach. So that's where we are at. And so we are put in a place where there's no more food for us, no spiritual food anyway. But there is a way to turn around and get the spiritual food by serving Krishna, by serving the spiritual master. And then we come back to life, the real life, not the illusory life that's full of misery and a drop of happiness once in a while. No, real life that's full of eternity, full of bliss, full of knowledge.
Thank you, Marie. And also want to thank Patrick for his input. Just a quick story, when I worked weddings in Connecticut, in the mornings I would get the girls ready and hair and makeup and dressed, and often there was lots of drama, and my job was to iron that out and before the ceremony. And then I would zip over with the girls to the main house for the ceremony, and I would walk through the kitchen, and the chef would notice if I was disturbed, and he would say, you know, you can start your day over whenever you'd like. And it would work every time. And I would realize, oh, I don't have to carry all that stuff with me anymore. Like, it's done, it's over. I can create a whole new afternoon, ceremony, reception, after party, and make it something totally new and different. And so, Patrick, your comment reminded me of that valuable advice, that it doesn't matter where we come from, where we've been, it's how we move forward. I see how time is supportive in that way here too. And I guess I'm gathering once we realize that our souls are eternal, then we are less disturbed by time. Hello, Malini and Dasi.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And time cannot crush a devotee of the Lord. A devotee of the Lord is above time, is not crushed by time. The devotee of the Lord will use the time to serve Krishna and is not crushed by time. So like you were crushed by time until the cook was your guru, and he said, you don't need to be crushed by time. You can start again. And in a moment notice, I can be a pure devotee. Just now, I can be a pure devotee. In a moment notice.
It's so liberating.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where I'm coming from. It doesn't matter how entangling I made, whatever decision and choices I made that led me to be entangled. In a moment notice, I can choose Krishna. I can choose Krishna's now. Oh, again, now. Oh, again, now. Thank you for sharing. It was very illuminating of an example. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Marie, and everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I also want to thank you for the class, and I want to introduce my company for the class today.
A spirit soul in a horse body.
It's a very good association devotee because she doesn't speak any nonsense.
Aha. No prachalpa.
No, she's very quiet. She's determined in her silence. And I really like the point that you shared about that the only problem is death. I mean, it's a big problem, but I still felt quite relieved.
Yeah, well, it's not the problem, but it's a certainty.
Well, it's also a problem. The other problems are uncertain, and this problem is certain.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like saying like when I'm passing my final exam of vet school, that the final exam to get my vet degree is a problem.
Yes, it was a problem. I feel understood. And also it was uncertain, while death is a certain problem.
Death is certain. Yeah, there is nothing more sure than death. And then if any intelligent person who understands that there is only one certainty about this life, then focus on that. That's only certainty. Let me focus on that. Let me prepare for death. Let me be that the most glorious time of my life is going to be my death. Let me prepare for that change. Yes. Thank you. Daddy,
Hare Krishna.
Sachi. Is that Sachi?
With Sachi.
Yeah. Thank you both. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for being here, churning the nectar of the Bhagavatam together this morning. I wish you a beautiful Sunday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Entourage Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hi.
La Prabhupada ki jai.
Hi.
Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.